Hey y'all, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. I'm back home after a very stressful and emotional week, dealing with my mother's death, an unexpected death, going through all of her papers, her home, and my sister and I. And it was very difficult. So I'm back, and obviously a lot of news was happening while I was gone, but I tried to keep up on certain things. And in this video, there's two parts to it because there was a lot to say on this issue, and as the title said. And so I saw a comment from somebody, and thank you all for your well wishes, your condolences, and all of your kind comments about the loss of my mother. I really appreciate it. Just saw a comment regarding some issues about me not speaking perfectly, having some stuttering or whatever you want to call it in my address to you all. Well, I don't have a teleprompter. I'm not an expert or a person who knows all about editing and all that. I'm not a tech master. So when I started this channel, it was just for me to share my thoughts on what's going on in the world and my church and how things are coming along geopolitically and spiritually. So I apologize if I'm not polished as you might want me to be, but it's just me doing the natural thing here. Maybe sometime I'll actually do something like get a teleprompter or whatever, but I'm doing the best I can. So this whole video is about Palestine and Ukraine, the terrible things that the evil one is involved in causing such catastrophe in those areas. So we're going to start with, and some of these articles are from a few days ago because I wasn't able to come on and do them then, but perhaps you haven't seen them. So I'm going to start with this one. Leaked Israeli data shows civilians make up 83% of Palestinians killed in Gaza. For me, this is not surprising. I already figured this was the truth. Anyhow, I thought I'd share it. Over the past 40 years of wars, civilians have accounted for a larger share of the dead only during the Rwandan genocide. So the only one that was worse was that genocide. Statistics from a classified Israeli military intelligence database show that over 80% of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces since the start of the genocide in Gaza have been civilians, an extreme rate of slaughter rarely matched in recent decades of warfare, The Guardian reported on 21 August, following an investigation undertaken in collaboration with 972 magazine and the Hebrew language local call. The Guardian stated that as of May, Israeli intelligence officials listed 8,900 named fighters from Hamas and Palestinian Islam Jihad as dead or probably dead since the start of the war in 2023. By way of comparison, Gaza health authorities have reported that 53,000 Palestinians had been killed by Israeli attacks during the same period, including fighters and civilians. This means that 8,900 dead resistance fighters make up only 17% of those killed, and the remaining 44,100 killed, or 83%, have been civilians. The Israeli military database lists 47,653 Palestinians still considered active members of the military wings of Hamas and PIJ. While the Israeli press and politicians often claim the Gaza Health Ministry's numbers are inflated, Israel's military does not dispute the ministry's numbers and uses them in its planning. A month or so ago, Harvard did a study on this, and on the deaths in Gaza, the Palestinian deaths, was actually much higher than what that number is showing. It was saying it was in the 400,000s, 300 to 400,000s. So way worse, I think, than because of people buried under the rubble and that kind of thing, missing. So we already know this. It's terrible, as we know. So let's go on to this one. Majority of U.S. citizens support global recognition of Palestine, the poll says. So what the poll says is that it found 58% of U.S. citizens believe all UN member states should recognize Palestine as a nation, while 33% opposed the idea and 9% did not answer. That is a pretty high poll of people because the U.S. has been, in my opinion, brainwashed regarding Palestine for decades. I know I was years ago. So this is quite interesting. The same poll found that 65% of respondents believe the U.S. should take action in Gaza to aid the people being subject to starvation by Israel, while 28% disagreed. That's exactly how I feel. Somebody needs to go in there. Maybe UN peacekeepers, maybe military group outside of this area, like UN or the US, or somebody needs to go in and do that and stop this horrible massacring that continues. I'm going to go to the next article because I have a lot to do. So I'm going to go to this one that was out August 14th. I hadn't had a chance to show you, but Smotrich revives E1 settlement project to bury idea of Palestinian state. Because this has been their agenda, the Greater Israel. And just a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, Netanyahu basically said he was on that path toward Greater Israel in certain words and terms, the way he said it. I don't think anybody should be surprised that that's their kind of plans and strategies that they've been doing. They're trying to clean out, ethnic cleanse all of Palestine and take over this. And this is what he says. He had said that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backs his policy for a West Bank revolution, referring to plans he announced a day earlier about unfreezing a controversial settlement project and burying the idea of a Palestinian state. He backs me up in everything concerning Judea and Samaria and is letting me create the revolution, Smotrich said. Now remember, he is a extremist to the nth degree, Zionist. Today, anyone in the world who tries to recognize a Palestinian state will receive an answer from us on the ground. Today, we are writing a historic chapter in the story of the redemption of the people of Israel in their land, he said. After 20 years of delays, the traffic jam has been broken, and the E1 plan is underway, fulfilling the promise and connecting Mal Adumim with a strategic, security, and demographic connection, which ensures our united capital for generations. He thanked President Trump and Huckabee for their backing. He says that they are men of truth with a clear and distinct moral voice that is not confused by the hypocrisy of the West. Actually, they're a misled and fooled people because they believe in a false doctrine. So, let's go on. Huckabee and Trump understand that a Palestinian state would endanger the existence of Israel, and that the occupied West Bank is an inseparable part of our land, the one that God promised to our father Abraham and gave to us thousands of years ago. Okay. Okay. Major problems with this. Let's go into the next thing I want to go over. When he's been saying all this, Father Abraham. That's what he's saying. Father Abraham. Really? Well, the settlers don't think so. Oak of Mamre, I guess you say, saved from arson attack at Russian monastery in Hebron. This is August 20. Residents of the Russian Ecclesiastical Missions Monastery in Hebron, Palestine, successfully prevented an arson attack from destroying an ancient oak tree venerated as the site where Abraham met the Lord and two angels, according to the report. The attempted arson occurred on August 15, when unknown perpetrators targeted the monastery grounds dedicated to the Holy Forefathers. The fire nearly reached the ancient oak of Mamre, before monastery residents detected it and responded quickly with available firefighting equipment. They then called the fire company, which arrived promptly at the scene. According to police investigation, the fire was deliberately set when perpetrators threw hot coals wrapped in foil over the monastery fence, igniting nearby trees. The situation was made more dangerous by several days of intense heat that had dried out the vegetation. Higher monk Ambrose, key keeper of the Holy Forefathers Monastery, confirmed that the monastery and its holy sites are currently secure and undamaged. The Russian Ecclesiastical Mission in Jerusalem and the Representative Office of the Russian Federation to the Palestinian National Authority are maintaining contact with local authorities in Hebron to investigate the incident. According to Genesis 18, it was at the Oak of Mamre, near Hebron, where Abraham received three mysterious visitors, interpreted as the pre-incarnate Christ and two angels, who announced that his elderly wife Sarah would bear a son. The location is thus one of the most sacred sites in biblical history. So it's one of the most sacred sites, and they're saying that they don't know who it is. Well, we can take a guess that the settlers are doing this because, look, if they're following what Smotrich's plan is, and a lot of them support this, that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to get rid of all of the Christian, ancient Christian monasteries and churches and their land, take over them, because it's Israel. It's Israel's land, even though it's not the same Israel as the Bible from the Old Testament, and this is a secular state. These people doing this are fanatics, and to me, two things. They're not well in the head, and they're doing a type of terrorism, okay? People don't like me talking this way, but look, it's just the way I see it. And to add insult to injury, let's go to a more recent information here. See if I can find it. Where did it go? Oh, Lordy. Let's see. I can't find where it was. Okay. Okay, I know. It was one of these. West Bank village devastated as Israel. This was yesterday. Israel uproots thousands of olive trees in 72 hours. They carried out a 3-day campaign of collective punishment against Palestinian residents in that particular area in the West Bank. Poor person. The Israeli army has uprooted thousands of olive trees in the West Bank village of this particular place in just the past 3 days as part of a collective punishment campaign against Palestinian residents of the village. Olive farming is the backbone of Palestinian agriculture. Olive trees in the West Bank are often hundreds of years old, some even over 1,000 years old, and are deeply tied to Palestinian identity, representing steadfastness and their historical connection to the land. This is so tragic. The Israeli army began uprooting the trees on Thursday while also carrying out raids on homes and imposing a siege and curfew, preventing all movement into and out of the village located northeast of Ramallah. After Israeli occupation forces ended the curfew and withdrew on Sunday, residents immediately began trying to replant the uprooted trees. I hope they can get them back in there. Video on that. And you know why they're doing this. Okay, so Israeli forces also blocked them from leaving or entering the village, forcing pregnant women to walk through the checkpoints to neighboring villages for treatments. Soldiers also raided homes, looting money, jewelry, vehicles. Palestinian man hides from Israeli soldiers raiding his home. This is concerning to me because my Orthodox Christian people are over there, brethren, and they have been dealing with this for years, but it's gotten 10 times worse since October 7th when the oppressed, jailed, persecuted people tried to fight back. That's the way I see it. And all of these moves by I'm just going to say Izzies for Israel and J's for JEWS from now on. The Izzies want to take over all of that, as I said. This is all part of their plan. Everything they're doing matches up to their strategy, their plan, their agenda. And to me, it's the spirit of the Antichrist. Now, I'm going to show one more thing. Article on one of our saints. Okay, so this is about Saint Jacob's Well, which is still there, okay, in the Holy Land. Now, Saint Philomenos, okay? He was the caretaker monk at the monastery of Jacob's Well when, am I starting at the beginning? Okay, so 2,000 years after Jesus' encounter with the woman at Jacob's Well, that same now 4,000-year-old well is in a Greek Orthodox compound in Bur Yaqub, near the Samaritan/Palestinian city of Nablus in the West Bank. It is revered by Jews, Christians, Muslims, and modern-day Samaritans. So Philomenos, that's our saint, was the caretaker monk at the monastery of Jacob's Well when in November 1979, a fanatical J group broke into the church and demanded Philomenos take down all icons and crosses because this was a Jewish site. And you can see him here. He's here, and there's his icon. Philomenos pointed out that to them that Jacob's Well had been taken care of by Christians for 1,600 years and had before that time been in the hands of Samaritans for 800 years. So it had not been in Jay's hands for almost 2,500 years. The mob left and warned the monk if he did not take down the Christian symbols, there would be consequences. Several days later, in torrential downpour, the group broke into the small church as Philomenos was doing vespers. They burst into the monastery and with a hatchet, butchered Archimandrite Philomenos in the form of a cross. With one vertical stroke, they clove his face. With another horizontal stroke, they cut his cheeks as far as his ears. His eyes were plucked out. The fingers on his right hand were cut into pieces, and its thumb was hacked off. These were the fingers with which he made the sign of the cross. The murderers were not content with the butchering of the innocent monk, but proceeded to desecrate the church as well. A crucifix was destroyed, the sacred vessels were scattered and defiled, and the church was in general subjected to sacrilege of the most appalling type. A grenade was thrown into the small church. He was made a saint in 2009. And by the way, no arrests. The chopping off one by one of the thumb and the four fingers Philomenos used to make the sign of the cross strongly indicates he was tortured and asked to denounce his Christian faith before he was hatcheted to death. No arrests have been made. No arrests. What injustice and how horrific. How horrific. Just unbelievable. These murderers. Now, I'm going to share another thing with you. As I'm going to show you that not all Jays are like that, as we know. There's fanatics, and there's people that don't believe this is right. These Jays are against what's going on, so that's a good thing. However, let me go ahead and give you the information on that. The website's a little bit different than it was before, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here. Okay. This is Torah Jew's site, okay? Judaism is not Zionism. Okay, so these are the ones that are Orthodox Jews. They may not like us very much, but their faith is not what it's showing to be here. What we're seeing that the Zionists are doing. So, Judaism is 3,000 years, a religion based on Torah, commandments, and waiting for divine redemption through the Messiah. Zionism is 150 years, a political movement that hijacked Jewish identity and replaced religious faith with nationalism. Their way is the Torah law. We follow God's commandments, live peacefully among nations, and practice true J values. They live peacefully among nations. But the Zionists, they rely on force. So they rely on military might, political maneuvering, and actions that violate fundamental Torah principles. Now, originally when I read this, I saw their mission statement had said that you cannot acquire any land through violence. And that's what they have been saying. When they act in violence, that's not Judaism. Okay? So, let me see what else I had there on that. Okay, so the Talmudic foundation. Well, it says not to ascend to the land of Israel as a wall en masse, not to rebel against the nations, and that the nations not oppress Israel excessively. So basically, they're supposed to be humbling themselves to God. And what I understood when I read that mission statement before they updated their website was that you cannot take land by blood. That is against God. And what they had to do is they wait for the Lord to put forth a path that is through peace for them to receive their land. And as you know, that's not what happened with this Izzy state. It was not done in that way. There was a lot of problems with terrorist attacks and attacking of villages around the area. It all started at the beginning. It was not good. So the original Jay's belief system is not Zionism that we are seeing here. Just want to make sure people understand that. So, with that information, and then all this stuff that's going on is the spirit of the Antichrist, in my opinion. So, let's go back and just to remind ourselves about the couple of okay, so just this little snip here from St. Paisios about the Jays pushing this and their power in the U.S. and all that. He mentions all this. I just want to get to this one line. Okay, and then he says, and I always try to get it right before then, but I can't really. But basically what he says is, did it again. Okay, so he said that, there will be the war with Turkey, and he said, yes, there will be a war, and Turkey will be hit from the north, that means from Russia. It will suffer enormous destruction, but not a single Greek nostril will bleed. As for the city, it will be governed, that's the city of Constantinople, will be governed by Russians, Greeks, and Europeans. The storm will reach as far as Israel, and then the Jays will understand their mistake. What do you think's going to happen there? Those words sound pretty ominous. This storm will reach as far as Israel. Yes, the gates of Jerusalem, gates of Israel, right there. And then the Jays will understand their mistake. Doesn't sound like it's good, does it? Doesn't sound like it's going to go the way they want it to go. And then we have this one with Elder Joseph, as we've seen before. So we're going to show this. To no one who does not know, it is this king, it says, who will destroy the transgressors. That he's talking about King John, who's supposed to rule in the Constantinople area after World War III. So he says that he's going to destroy the transgressors and them who work iniquity. So let's go a little bit further on in this. He will discipline both those who are employed in sins and those who sin, and balance shall be restored. Even now, the EU has already foretold that the social balance cannot be restored unless a dictator is in place. Now he's going to go into somewhat of the Antichrist, and then he'll go back to where we are now. But here, they define that with their own aim, because the Hebrews fantasize that the time of their own kingdom has arrived, since they are also waiting for it, they are those who close the page of history. That is a fact. Well, how is it possible for Izzy, as it is now but a handful, for it to become global and to rule the entire world? And remind you, he said this in either 2001 or 2007. Is it actually possible for such a thing to occur? Can the human mind imagine it? How can a handful of people that cannot make ends meet with the Arabs rule over the entire world and enforce their laws? Is that logical? If all those things that the Holy Fathers had spoken of do not occur, that European civilization will be destroyed, that everything will be turned upside down, that Gog and Magog without number, Chinese people will come, and the Indians, all of them. Civilization will have declined, and those people will enter Europe from here, he says. And there will be no people, no world then. And afterward, according to the Holy Fathers, natural disasters will eliminate humankind. He's talking about the end, the last days, the Antichrist time. Okay, so let's get back to, hopefully he'll get back to where we are now. A few will remain, so that Izzy will then be the world dominating authority. It will be them. And it is precisely to them that the Antichrist will present himself, because there will be no other country that reigns. This is towards the end, of course. And it is there that history will be concluded. Is the Antichrist, and then these saying he will be present himself, and yes, to them, just as Christ had been born amongst blah blah. So he goes on about that. Let's see if I can get past this, because I can't remember where it is, but let's get back. And then, of course, he goes in about that. Now, I hope that what will happen to them will be what had happened to us in 21. He's talking about the Hebrews. When our nation, he's talking about he wants that to happen to them. When our nation arose, thinking to regain Constantinople and Asia Minor, so they proceeded and did what they did. And in the end, not only did we not regain them, but we also lost what we did have. That's what he is hoping will happen to the Hebrews. That is what will happen to them now. It is not a rosy period of time for them, for the Izzies who have done all these things and more. It's talking about this period of time, not the Antichrist. And there he is. In that great war which is coming, all of those people shall be crushed, which matches with St. Paisios saying the Jays will understand their mistake in this period in time of when this great war happens, this period in time. And according to Metropolitan Neophytus, we are in that period of time. We don't know when it'll happen, this great war. We don't know the months. We don't know the year, because dates are not given. But we do know a war is coming. We've seen signs showing that it's getting closer. And so wanted to share all this with you of the satanic things that are going on. And there was so much to share there. So much to share. Now that was all on what's happening in Palestine. That's why this is part 1. Part 2, I have things to go over with the persecutions of Ukraine in the next one that are important stories. So I hope you stuck with me through all this and got something out of it. I hope it was informative to you and that you were able to get something out of it. I'm a little trying to get back into this, so if I feel kind of rusty, I feel rusty, but that I'm not doing exactly how I was doing before. But hopefully you all got something out of it, and I appreciate you all watching. Thank you for following my channel, and I hope you all have a great day. And until my next video, till next time.